It's NFL Wild Card Weekend playoffs ahead of us this week. And Ron and I are here. We're running a little bit behind this week, and we're going to have our process discussion, which is actually going to be a lot more like what it used to be because it's different than a normal week, and we're probably coming at stuff at different angles and have different information or lack of there. So anyway, Photo Ron, how are you today?
Oh, taking it day by day. Always good to have distractions. And football was a great distraction again this past weekend. So that's where I'm at right now. And it wasn't too hard to finally do 6 games instead of 16 games. So I appreciate the downturn in schedule.
Yeah, no kidding. But it just seems like I like how the playoffs are laid out where it's game by game too. It makes it makes the strategy that I like to use with the parlays and teasers a little easier to do. And there's nothing more frustrating. I wish they would stop having only 3 or 4 games in the afternoon slate and then slamming us all at once in the early slate. It's just frustrating to have that many games going on.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. Again, I think the beauty of our brainstorming is that we come with 2 different approaches a lot of the time. And somebody asked me last weekend, is week 18 my favorite week? And I said, well, it's right there with 1 and 5 and 18. But the last 2 years, I probably would have to say, even though it's a lot of work, week 18 is my favorite week. There's just so many opportunities. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that comes you're tracking different things and you're looking at different things than I am, and it's good that you get to have that all come to fruition. For me, worrying about the spreads and other stuff, it's so much more difficult. And I think I did the smart thing. I took most of the games off week 18. I reviewed previous week 18s, and yeah, I've done okay. But last year was a really bad week 18, so I didn't want to have a repeat of that. And what I focused on did fine, so I came out of it alive, which made me happy.
Yeah, it was probably my second best weekend of the year. It was full of first and second and fourth quarters, a couple of team total unders from teams that quit. We talked about Green Bay last week. Also, the Chargers weren't playing anybody. I talked about the hidden value of sack props. That's one thing that's not factored in the market, those half sack milestones. To get to either 10 sacks double digit or to get a bonus, you can still get plenty of value there. Those went 7 and 3 for a plus 103 return on investment. And the games were fantastic. Lost 2 of them. 1 5 or 5.5, no complaints.
Well, that's good. I forget what props I had, but the Stafford prop we talked about last week, last I looked, was looking just a little bit better than the plus 270 it was when we were talking about it on the show.
Yeah, and when we were talking about it, you laid out. Then I joined in the conversation about reasons why that was just such a bad price. So anybody who has a ticket on Stafford because of that conversation, no, not a guaranteed win, but I thought it was 60-40 going into last week. And I think it's I give it a 2 out of 3 chance that Stafford's the MVP.
Yeah, I do too. The strange thing is I keep on looking, and are the award markets off the board now?
I haven't checked today, but I know I texted you, what was it, maybe the Monday that they were on board. I'm going to go to one.
I saw Stafford was like minus 170 in locations, and I looked the following day, and I can't seem to find them.
No, they're off at a site that I'm looking at right now. So they're not on right now.
Yeah, I haven't been able to find them because I saw Stafford was down to the minus 170, and I started to think, well, maybe I'll consider, just covering my Stafford bet and making it free or biting
Right.
into a little bit. But it doesn't look like we have that option anymore.
Now, I wonder if it'll come back for a short period of time, or they're worried about leakage from the 50 voters or something like that.
I don't remember them. That's strange. I just feel like it's not typical that they'd be off the board like they are, but I can't find them anywhere.
Jerry Betts, hi Jerry, says off the board because they voted on Monday, he believes.
Okay. So now we understand.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good. I mean, I agree with it. Just seemed like the odds were nowhere near plus 270. Win or lose, I'm happy I had the bet in. And I actually added to the bet after the show.
Well, I definitely placed that play after we had that discussion. There was not a chance at plus 250. I don't think I got 275. I think I got plus 250. You're telling me that's only if they voted 7 times, he would only win twice? I don't think so.
No, and I just, for the life of me, I can't believe I forgot he hadn't won an MVP. If I had realized that from the start, I got it confused with him winning a Super Bowl.
And that was a good conversation last week as well.
Before we get into the games, we saw our boy Harbaugh got canned, and everybody thinks that they're crazy for canning him. We've been ridiculing his coaching for a couple of years. I guess we're on our own little island thinking he caused as many problems there as he created. I mean, he did a lot of good things well for a period of time over there, but his in-game decisions were just a problem, costing him games every year. And maybe he needs a new lease on life someplace, because obviously it sounds like Jackson's been causing some strife with teammates and just how things are run there. And with a $70 million cap hit next year, I'm not so sure he isn't happy to be out of that situation to start over.
I don't think Harbaugh will have trouble finding a job. And sometimes, the message gets stale. How many people are listening during meetings? They've heard the same old thing and stuff like that. Longevity for me with coaches has always been an unbelievable thing. I know Mike Tomlin and his tendencies backwards and forwards, Kirk Ferentz in Iowa, backwards and forwards, Kyle Whittingham at Utah. So handicapping wise, I'm sad to see a guy like Harbaugh go. But from a standpoint of the team underachieving with all the talent they've had, I can't name a time, Cris, that Baltimore has not been in the top 10 in NFL draft grades. So this is a team that's constantly provided talent, use of the free agency market, use of the supplemental picks in the draft, because they're constantly awarded 2, 3, 4 supplemental picks. I just think they're doing less with more.
Yeah, I agree. So, all these, it seems like the mainstream pundits think that Harbaugh's the steal of availability. But I don't think so. But they're talking about who's the guy at Green Bay? I keep forgetting his name.
Oh, LaFleur?
Yeah, they're talking about him maybe ending up in Atlanta and wearing out his welcome in Green Bay.
Wow. I think so. There's 7 openings. The only one I'm not sure whether it's going to come open or not come open is Tampa. They haven't made a decision yet in Tampa. It looks like Miami's keeping theirs, and for some ungodly reason, the Jets are keeping their coach. But other than that, which of these openings would attract you for a head coach? Is it Atlanta?
I think you'd have to be excited about Vegas. I think that's a top opportunity. I think Atlanta is not a disaster to step into by any means. I think that's a good job. The Giants aren't all that bad of a situation, other than dealing with the fans and just the perennial losing, culture there and the awful weather.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Giants, because I think that's sneaky one of the best spots for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Dallas is 8-8 every year. Washington had a great culture change the first year. In the second year, the coaching staff plateaued, and we don't know Daniel's availability from year to year. So it's not a bad situation with the Giants. Another fourth place schedule.
Well, and the Lions get a fourth place schedule. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, so you saw what happened with San Francisco and New England this year. Even in a brutal division that San Francisco was in, they had that fourth place schedule, and with all their injuries. And then New England just went from fourth to first with all kinds of changes in their roster and in the schedule.
I think I actually did print out the, let me find it here.
And we should also talk about the flip side. Washington went with a much tougher schedule and a primetime schedule this year. If I had one season win regret, it was not taking the Washington Commanders under, because it was such a difference in one year to the next in opponents faced.
Before I get to what I was going to find, NFL Coaches of the Year since 2018. 2018, Nagy fired. Harbaugh fired. Stefanski fired. Vrabel fired. Daboll fired. Stefanski fired. O'Connell, he's the only one that's still around.
Well, maybe I don't want to win that award.
But that's ridiculous when you think about it.
Yeah, the expectations go through the roof.
Strength of schedule 2026. I saved this. I don't know whether you saw this.
I did not.
It's strength of schedule using final records. So we always take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, we need power ratings.
But the easiest schedules for next year, Cleveland, New Orleans, Cincinnati, the Colts, Falcons, Lions, Houston, Tennessee, Baltimore, Philadelphia. And the hardest schedules next year, the Bears, Miami, Green Bay, Arizona, Kansas City, New England, Raiders, Buffalo.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what a team like the Bears do after going. They also went from fourth to first. I didn't mention them. Mm-hmm. And now they have the first place schedule coming.
I think the division just reversed itself, didn't it?
That's crazy, huh? It's interesting, though. You put Atlanta, Carolina, and the Saints. Those are three perennially terrible drafting teams. And Atlanta, they've been drafting in the top 10 for years. Carolina too. They still can't get winning records.
Yeah, it is remarkable, but it's going to be interesting when you've got the Bengals and the Colts and the Lions and Houston, and even Baltimore and Philadelphia and the Falcons down there, easiest schedule range.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll look at it at some point via my closing power ratings, which will change, of course, too, because of free agency and the draft. So we don't know all this yet.
Anything else from last week? I'm trying to I played it easy because teasers usually aren't that good the final week of the season. But what I did ended up doing pretty well. Everything ended up on that Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. I found bad alternate lines on that game, which really made me heavily invested in it. And it all worked out well. But I guess the diligence paid off, searching those mundane alternate lines.
Well, you could do a lot of stuff week 18. The one game we talked about that we couldn't get involved in is when San Francisco lost to Seattle. That changed the Ram dynamic in that particular game. So something that I was really hoping to pounce on in the Ram-Arizona game, I had to leave it completely empty, which is fine because Arizona stinks and the Rams were now playing for the 5th spot and that line shot up.
I didn't. How did we drop the ball so badly? We discussed how if San Francisco lost, that the Rams would need to win. How come we dropped the ball so much and missed that 7-point move? I didn't think that line would move 7 points on that.
Well, according to my power numbers, if it was played during the regular season, the Rams would have been 16.5-point favorites. So as soon as the Rams were trying, I think everybody had to jump that up real fast.
Yeah, but still, how did we miss that? We're going through the games. How did we miss that? I mean, we discussed a couple of associations of effort based on previous results, and it just seems like we missed something there.
Yeah, I think I could have got in. If I could have got in at single digits, I would have, but I think it just went off and then came on, and it was too late for me.
It's really amazing how every week 18 that these lines just go one way only on these teams, that are heavy favorite must-win situations.
One thing you were dead right about in terms of, I don't know dead right because of the results, but we talked about Arizona and the Jets. But what was Buffalo doing at a 12-point favorite if we were going to guess that Josh Allen was going to play one snap for the second year in a row? He played one snap. And for the second year in a row, I had Buffalo to win the first quarter. And I'm saying he's playing one snap, but it worked out.
Well, yeah, we could have. I texted you, I think the morning of the game saying, what the hell is Buffalo doing being that huge favorite? There's no way they're going to play the starters. And it's a situation of being right and still would have been a big loser. So dodged a bullet there.
I had the Jets in the fourth quarter. That was made before the game started because I knew Josh Allen wasn't going to be in there in the fourth quarter. I didn't even know if he would be in there in the second quarter. But the Jets are so bad, it was a lucky win just to get them through the fourth quarter. I mean, can you imagine? Buffalo played nobody. They don't have a run defense to begin with, and the Jets were down 35-0.
Unbelievable. I'm so glad I didn't have anything in that game. I'm trying to think. Yeah. You know what? I don't know whether I articulated it, but that Houston-Indianapolis game, it just rubbed me the wrong way, that Houston was somehow going to walk all over them easily, and they didn't. So that didn't surprise me at all. The Lions and the Bears, I was surprised the Bears were unable to do anything for most of the game until late.
Yeah. Wasn't surprised at Detroit winning. I had Detroit, and the line moved up. Then they get to 4 or 4.5. The line moved up. In fact, a lot of these dogs that I wanted to take at 3.5 ended up 4 and 4.5. I know the back door in New Orleans, Atlanta, but you always have that back door. And you and I talked about the money line in Tampa, which was obviously better than laying 2.5, as it turned out. So if I went through, and the only surprise to me, and it was a game, one of the ones I lost, was I had Tennessee in the game. In fact, I had them in the first half plus 7.5. Ward has been hot. He comes in, they score. He goes 3 for 3 in the first drive, and then he's out for the rest of the game because he bruised his shoulder. And the fight went out of Tennessee.
Yeah. I forgot the two horribly frustrating beats that I actually won betting, swept the board on both of them betting, but I lost in contests. And that's the Tampa Bay, not covering the 2.5, landing on the 2. And Atlanta, I had to use Atlanta, and, felt like they should have covered, and they blew it late. And then not as much, but the same thing happened with, I guess that wasn't that bad, Pittsburgh covering, but
Yeah.
I was just frustrating. I hate those backdoor losses.
Yeah. Typical Pittsburgh Baltimore game, typical New Orleans Atlanta game. I don't, if the line's 3.5 or more, there should be no decision.
I guess the last commentary I'll make here. I've got this notice. Indiana can go 16-0. Do you know the last time a team went 16-0 in college?
16-0?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, probably 1933.
You remember who did it?
Army or Navy?
Yale, 1894.
All right. Well, I was closer than a lot of people would have been on that one.
Yeah, blast from your youth there.
Yeah. I'll make one more comment of last week. In retro, I had this game and I liked this game and I talked about it with you on the show last week. But the worst line set of any line set that I saw last week in retrospect was making Kansas City a 5-point favorite over Vegas. What right did whoever that you pronounce the name of the quarterback of Kansas City and whoever was running the ball for Kansas City and whatever else they were fielding on that team that wasn't trying at all, what right did they have to be a 5-point favorite?
I fell for the banana in the tailpipe. I used them in a contest just because everybody liked the Raiders. So that was hopeless from the go.
I kind of flat bet most of my plays, but in retrospect, Vegas was the best one.
That was a game of all field goals and safeties too. No touchdowns.
Yeah. 7 field goals and a safety. Is that what it was?
I think so. And the Jets never got their interception for the whole season.
Yeah, that's true. And I want to give a shout out. I don't know if he was in the chat, but it was somebody I interacted with on Sunday morning when I was giving the previews out that said that Dak Prescott was not going to play more than half the game, which really surprised me because I had bet the Giants based on Dak Prescott actually playing the full game because I like the Giants for a number of different reasons. But he was right. Dak Prescott only played half the game. So a shout out for that information.
Yeah, week 18s are definitely the weeks you need to pay attention for like the slightest little tidbit. It can really affect things. And I told you I had a feeling Philadelphia wasn't going to play their people. And I didn't think we were a for sure loser on that season wins. I ended up over hedging on it, so I wasn't happy with myself.
Yeah, I hedged on it too, but it was incredible that both the Saints and Philly, which were teams that I needed at the end, were able to lose their last game.
So I wrote out the playoff teams and how they've done the last 5 weeks entering the playoffs.
Excellent.
Who do you think are some of the teams that have been doing better than others over the last 5 weeks, and who do you think are the worst teams over the last 5 weeks?
Well, without looking at my power ratings, I'd say Jacksonville was certainly one of the ones that would be the best.
Yeah, that was easy.
Yeah. Houston might be there even with their lackluster last week performance.
Yeah, 4th or 13th overall, but 4th for playoff teams. So most of the playoff teams, you had Jacksonville at 2, New England at 5, Seattle at 9, and that's the extent of playoff teams that are performing in the top 10 over the last 5 weeks, which I thought was kind of odd.
That makes sense because I'm looking at the list and I couldn't find another top 5.
Who do you see backing in?
Packers, maybe.
Packers are 32.
Yep. They really don't look good right now. We got some Jekyll and Hydes in there, so I don't know. The Chargers, they've had some injuries, so I don't know if I could put them there. there are some pluses and minuses with Buffalo and Chicago, but the Packers came to mind right away.
Yep. And then I guess it was a surprise is coming in at 28th, the Rams.
That's interesting.
And then you get the Chargers 27th, but that's kind of they've kind of been on autopilot a little bit. With their situation.
It's interesting with the Rams. Their defense has allowed a lot of points the last 4 weeks.
Yeah, they didn't have their way last week like they should have when they came to play. If you ask me, that was a little bit concerning.
Yeah, it was pretty choppy the first half.
Okay, coming into this week. Let's see, I got some looking at these. Do you have any strategies or how do you tackle this wild card weekend versus the regular season?
Well, some games will have some head-to-heads that you could look at a little bit. Others, you can kind of see past performances in the playoff situation. Home and road doesn't matter as much. I've seen teams that were undefeated at home and then lose in the playoffs, so you can't look at that very much. I look at a Super Bowl profile, which doesn't attack wild card week, but over 40 to 45 years of data, I've been able to see what teams have a profile for making and or winning the Super Bowl and what teams do not. And so I kind of look that up at that into account. And then some teams that haven't been in the playoffs for a few years, I try to analyze whether or not that lack of recency factor is often a plus at first as opposed to a minus.
I lost you on that somehow. What was that again?
I have to repeat the whole thing?
No, I'm reading a bunch of trends that I got sent to me, and I somehow missed the last point.
Oh, I think that teams that haven't been in the playoffs the last few years, they can perform well that very first week back in the playoffs. Like, take a Chicago, for example.
But one of the things I can't really, I'm trying to look at it here. So the Panthers got in on back-to-back losses, sub 500. And that's kind of like reminiscent of, you remember way back when the Saints won the division and had to travel to Seattle?
And Seattle had a less than 500 record and beat them.
Yeah, they were 11-point underdogs and they beat them outright. I remember getting my ass kicked on that game with the 10-point teasers. Carolina's 8-0 against the spread after a straight-up loss, covering that spread by 10.4 points per game.
Yeah. Well, one of the other strategies is to look at whether or not the full season stats are mirror what's happened like you do in the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and stuff like that. So I'm looking for where teams have changed around. So if you look at Carolina's full stats, it shows a minus sack ratio of 30 to 35. If you look at Carolina's last 5 games, Carolina has a 12 to 5 sack ratio. So they've obviously improved at protecting the quarterback and getting to the quarterback.
Overall, I have them the 24th over the last 5 weeks, though. They're just above the Chargers.
Yeah, that's just one metric. Let's see what else I said about them. Really, I didn't say much else about them. So nothing else stood out last few weeks from before. If you look at their numbers overall, the best they could be is average in any area.
The winner of the Super Bowl, let's see. The winner of the Super Bowl champion has at least come from the top 8 in the Super Bowl odds entering the playoffs each year, including the top 6 in each of the last 12 seasons. And this has been since 2008. The last team to win outside the top 6 was the 2012 Ravens. So supposedly, if it follows, it should be Seattle, the Rams, Broncos, Eagles, Bills, or Patriots.
If it was only those 6, I could eliminate 3 of them.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you or for anybody. Matthew Stafford, is he the kind of quarterback that can carry it? I think he's pretty sure he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Is he the kind of quarterback that you would put in the Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, that he could carry a team?
I think he has the ability and the desire, and he's just slightly different. But no, yeah, I think he can.
Okay. I think that's the question I would have to answer to determine whether or not the Rams have a Super Bowl profile or not. Because other than that determination at quarterback, this year's profile, surprisingly, is not a Super Bowl profile historically.
Quarterbacks making their first playoff start versus quarterbacks who have playoff experience are 20 and 39 and 1, 34% against the spread, 20 and 40 straight up.
Quarterbacks making their first start, and what about the offensive line?
Quarterbacks making their first playoff start versus a quarterback who has playoff experience.
Oh, nothing about. So that would affect the first game. That would affect a lot of games, actually.
No, there's 3: Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and Drake May.
Huh. Okay. I wonder how many of them were at home in their first start.
Let's see. When those less experienced quarterbacks play at home, which all 3 are this week, they are 12 and 21 straight up and against the spread.
Okay. So still bad.
Yep.
So in the first game, Rams and Carolina, and this was interesting because Matthew Stafford actually spoke to this. The Rams were -3 in turnover ratio. So essentially that's 10.5 points they gave to Carolina. And Stafford said, hey, the difference in that game is that I threw to the other team.
Let's see here. Super Bowl winning quarterbacks are 64 and 25 as an underdog in the playoffs. That'd be Aaron Rodgers. 72% as an underdog in the playoffs. They're 26 and 8, 77% as a dog before winning the ring. I don't understand how this is written. So it's you shouldn't be betting against Aaron Rodgers supposedly this week. Here's a very interesting one. 6 wildcard games are going to be played in outdoor stadiums. Since 2004, outdoor wildcard games are 49 and 23, which is 68% to the under.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize all 6 outdoor.
And if you exclude totals of, if you only take 41 and higher, it goes up to 42 and 14, which is 75%.
It's interesting because I saw the totals and I set a total for each of the games, and 5 of the 6 games I set a lower total than what the line opened.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of feeling, a lot of hesitancy. So some of that data doesn't reflect well on what I like this week. But looking at the Rams and Carolina, betting wise, I have to imagine you're leaving the game alone.
If I play anybody, it would be Carolina in this game. I'm not going to give double digits on the road. I understand it's revenge for the Rams. I talked about the +3 turnovers. I do think the Rams will win, but I think it's disrespectful to be a double-digit dog against a team that already tasted victory against the other team.
Well, yeah, I've got the line still short. I've used the Rams and teasers. I just can't resist a standalone game.
Yeah.
At 10 and a half, you get it down to pick, just win the game. As I explained earlier, there's times they don't win, like Seattle hosting the Saints way back in the day. But I still feel comfortable. I'm gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe and take the Rams and teasers.
Carolina's offense is sporadic at best. They did score 31 in that game against the Rams, but part of that was turnover driven. So,
and another thing somebody pointed out, let me scroll back, which I knew before, but I can't find it. Is it? Oh, Lake. Xavier mentioned that Quentin Lake for the Rams is back, and he's pretty important to them, and so he's going to be able to help out.
And Horn for Carolina didn't play in the first game, and he's playing as well, and he's good. So Bryce Young hasn't stretched the field this year. Chances are he won't stretch the field unless McMillan gets open again. McMillan only caught 1 ball against the Rams in that victory.
Well, the only thing that nags me about it is Carolina's an entirely different team at home. They've got this win one week, lose the next week type result attitude. But I've got no feeling on the total at all. I got nothing. You have anything on that?
No, I don't.
And, there's a question, rode Kansas City ahead of time 2 years ago, knowing that they were the team with the best value.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a team that has stood out this year. I think that there's just too much parity this year. When you really
agree.
Would any team coming out of the AFC truly shock you?
Probably Pittsburgh.
But they've got a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Oh, I understand. They'll be away from home most likely the rest of the playoffs, though.
Right. But, the AFC is up for grabs as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, when you have 4 home underdogs the first week of the playoffs, you know that it's really jumbled up. Not once did we talk about Denver being a top 3 power rated team or even a top 5, right? And they're the number 1 seed.
I haven't even looked at the futures. I just assume the futures suck. Have you even looked at the futures coming in?
No, I didn't. So I'm glad you said that.
Let me put them up. My God. The Steelers are plus 5,700. They are the long shot.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be a surprise.
Do you have a dark horse yourself?
I haven't thought long term, so let me dark horse. No, I think if in a perfect world where healthcare for everybody, the Chargers would be the team.
Let me just look at the AFC. I was looking at the. I'll tell you what I would be tempted to take. The one thing that stands out is I'd be inclined to take the no on Broncos to win the AFC.
Well, they played 2 games, and we'd have to try to figure out who those games would be against.
Yeah, I don't even have the brackets.
Well, they'll play whatever the lowest seed winner is going to be. The NFL makes it so that if the 7th seed wins, they play the top seed.
Well, they still have to play a real team the second game.
Yeah. For example, if Buffalo beats Jacksonville, they could very well be Buffalo at Denver.
Who do the Patriots? Well, the Patriots are playing
The Chargers.
Chargers, and then who do they have to play next?
If the Patriots won, then they would play the second lowest seeded team. If the Patriots win, they would play either
Pittsburgh or
most
Buffalo,
likely.
Right? Or no, Jackson. We don't know.
Or they would play if Jacksonville wins and New England wins. They're probably going to play. They're going to play each other. That's for sure.
Next game?
Yep. If Buffalo wins, then they will probably play the Houston-Pittsburgh winner.
Well, all these are all in the same neighborhood of the mid 500s plus, or just to win the AFC. Houston, Jacksonville, the Bills, and the Patriots are a little bit better, like plus 415. It reminds me of when you're trying to chase a division winner and you've got too many teams that can win it.
Right.
The NFC, what are we looking at here? The Seahawks. To bet no on them, you only have to lay 202. I wouldn't want to bet the no, though. Eagles plus 480. Bears plus 950, Packers plus 1100, 49ers plus 13, Rams plus 250, Seahawks plus 167. Something seems off in there somehow. I don't know what.
Yeah, so in the NFC side, again, we go back to that Stafford question. If he can carry a team by himself, then they have a Super Bowl profile. If not, I only have 2 teams that could win the Super Bowl from the NFC, and that would be Philly and Seattle.
You think Darnold can carry a team?
I don't know, but he doesn't have to with Seattle's profile. Because of the profile of the entire team, you need a Brady or a Manning type with the Rams. You could get by with, because Seattle's overall profile is already Super Bowl ready. They don't need if they had a Brady or a Manning, it would be pretty good.
Well, let's go into the Green Bay Chicago game is interesting for me because Green Bay is coming in so flat, the lowest rated team over the last 5 weeks. They've obviously been dinged up, and they're 0-2 against the Bears this season, right?
Are they 0-2?
I mean, or are they two? They're
1-1. They lost in overtime the last game. 12-20. They lost in overtime 22-16.
So Chicago's was favored, and now Green Bay's favored. It seems like it's going to toggle back and forth. And you've got the big issue here is how turnover reliant the Bears are. During the season, is that going to continue in the playoffs against a team that's been there before, a team that has experience? Are they going to be able to kick it into gear after taking some time off and being without some players for a while versus Chicago? And here's the other thing too: Green Bay and Chicago. When was their bye? Didn't they have first week buys? So
it's
Chicago,
a long time ago. Both of them are a long time ago.
Green Bay basically had a bye last week, whereas Chicago's been going since week 4 or 5. They've had to play, full throttle ever since. So it really makes it an interesting handicap.
So from a stats standpoint, in 2 games against each other, both last month, the Bears had 3 total sacks. That was all. And the Packers had 1. So you're probably looking at clean pockets for both players. Now, I don't know what your stats say, but Green Bay has not played well against the run at all the last 5 to 7 games.
And that's where the
tremendous dropout.
The Bears should be able to make hay with the running game.
Yeah, if you look at the full year stats, Green Bay looks acceptable. If you look at the last 7 games, not acceptable at all.
Of course, but we know what was the quality of the teams they're playing
the last 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, they played the Bears twice. Oh, their quality was good. Detroit, it was a brutal schedule for Green Bay. But
the weather's going to be 38 to 40, but the winds are going to be a problem.
Okay.
You're talking 18, 19 mile an hour winds.
Just to show that I'm ready, the running backs for Chicago went 49 carries, 228 yards against Green Bay.
I think I might be interested in that total.
The other news for we talked about the sack ratio. Green Bay only has 7 in their last 6 games anyway, so they're not going to get to Caleb Williams. And Caleb Williams his stats were almost identical in the 2 games that he played against Green Bay. Neither one was at 60%, so he's still not a high percentage passer.
He made he missed some looks and he had chances. The Green Bay gave him some chances that he didn't take advantage of. I remember seeing.
We talked about this during the year. The real work with Caleb is going to be in the off season when Ben Johnson can go one-on-one with him, get him ready for season 3. Whatever you get this year is gravy.
And do they even draft an offensive player next year?
I'm not their GM, and their GM is not one of my favorites. He's getting a little better, but I don't want them to draft offensive line because they don't know how to draft an offensive lineman. So yeah, I think you could see somebody in in the trenches, maybe on the defensive trenches.
So do you have you probably don't see any value on either team on this one, do you?
By power rating, there's a little value for Chicago. I like Chicago in this game. I would love to see Chicago win this game so that I could go against them the next game. I think they're one and done.
Yeah, I think both of them should be one and done.
Yeah, I mean, neither one of them qualifies for Super Bowl contention. There's a situation that favors Chicago. I don't know how healthy Jordan Love is right now.
Well, I'm going to be taking. I saw the line moving. It was funny how these. You've got to really take a close look at Bookmaker, Bet Online, Pinnacle, DraftKings. There's some real huge opportunities in teasers because they're running a 1 or a 1.5 on opposite sides sometimes. So, I grabbed Green Bay plus 11. Now I'll grab Chicago plus 11. Overall, I'm going to lean it towards Chicago, even with the no playoff experience, Caleb. But I just have a funny feeling that's got to start changing because the way the NCAA has changed with the playoff format and the number of big games that these kids face. We've seen it in other, aspects of the game. I just don't think it's going to be as big of an issue as it was in the past. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't really. I was surprised at the stat you read there. In one respect, because I know some of these quarterbacks, if they're rookie quarterbacks, who are they going against? Are they going against Tom Brady? Are they going against great quarterbacks and stuff like that? A lot of that makes a difference too when there's a real disparity between quarterbacks. But I'm willing to hang my hat on Chicago partly because these teams know each other anyway. I mean, they play twice a year. Not only that, they play twice in the last month. So it's crazy from that standpoint. Birdie's going to pay us to start from the beginning.
Well, we're done with Saturday. I'm going to ask you one thing. I've got a positive EV for you.
Okay.
Can you imagine buying something that you like, that is smaller than you'd like it, doesn't work as often as you'd like it, and costs almost twice as much as you're paying?
That I want to buy?
Yeah, would you be interested in something like that?
Not usually.
I'm telling you right now, if you like pistachio nuts, Turkish pistachio nuts are the way to go. And the reason why I phrased it that way is the Turkish pistachios are smaller. There's more often you can't get the nut out of the shell. And the price is prohibitively more. It's almost twice as much, but it's worth it. So that's my positive EV thing, unusual positive EV taste-wise.
Well, if you take anything away from this conversation, that's the one then.
These are so good. They're so much better than California's. Mm-hmm. Buffalo and Jacksonville. That one has me a little. What I've observed on the game is that it seems like Jacksonville is a public dog, yet Buffalo is holding its own at the 1.5. Circa's down to pick, South Point down to pick, but it's been toggling. I haven't seen Jacksonville favored at all yet. Which kind of surprises me. I don't usually pay attention to the bet percentages, but somebody told me that Jacksonville was being bet. I don't even have the bet percentages, but would you not agree that if there's one team in the playoffs that has just an overwhelming amount of pressure on them, It just might be the Bills.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm surprised you said Jacksonville's a public dog, because I would think come Saturday and Sunday that we would see the public betting Buffalo because of Josh Allen.
So you think the line's going to go up?
See, how fast do you have data at your hands that says how much you've raised Jacksonville in the last 3 to 4 games?
They just steadily. Let me see what I have here.
I have Jacksonville rising like crazy over the last 6, 7 games.
Yeah, they're the second. They've second highest. Let me get the number though. Five, 4.8 points.
Over the last how many games?
5 weeks.
4.8. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have them 5 points higher.
Yeah. So we're right in line with each other.
Yeah. So that's caused me, based on my power ratings, to have Jacksonville the team that should be favored.
What? Who have they been playing? They played the Colts twice. Did they play the Colts twice recently?
Yes. They've also went to Denver and beat Denver. Other than that, they haven't played anybody good, unless you count the Jets.
Yeah, but who's Buffalo been playing?
Yeah, so Jacksonville's schedule is really Denver, Indy, and Indy. And Buffalo has faced Cincy, New England, Cleveland, Philadelphia, also the Jets. Pittsburgh, who they handled at Pittsburgh. A little bit tougher for Buffalo, I'd say. They've been pretty flat on my power number. Up 1 week, down the next kind of thing.
You know, it's quite possible that Buffalo could be the team playing tight here.
Yeah. Let's see what I have.
How do you see this game playing out?
Well, you know, if you're Jacksonville, you want to keep Josh Allen on the bench. And so you should be running on Buffalo. You should be trying to run as much as possible. Yeah, you should be able to do that. You want to put, I know Trevor Lawrence has cut down his interceptions tremendously, but you want to keep it that way by having him do play action. You want to establish the run, the old style, and then have him pass on first down once you've established the run.
I'm surprised you think this line's going to go up, but you may be right. I think Jacksonville becomes a favorite.
Well, according to my power numbers, Jacksonville should be bet. But I think it's a tug of war, because I would have guessed that late in the week there'll be some public Buffalo money and some sharp Jacksonville money.
Well, maybe the big money. Well, the big money can step in now. Maybe they think exactly the way you're thinking. I feel that there's going to be a late Jacksonville push.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it ends pick'em.
Well, I planned on Jacksonville becoming the favorite, so I took on my Jacksonville action already.
Yeah. I want to see what happens with the movement. I wouldn't mind Jacksonville as a dog if they stay a dog, but I'm not. I want to see what the movement's like.
I should mention it. teasers did really shitty last year in the wild card round. So it doesn't mean they're going to do shitty this year, but just a note.
Yeah. In these win or go home kinds of things, the fourth quarters can get very strange.
Well, Circa is at pick on the what day? It's Wednesday. You don't necessarily know what Circa's doing on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, I did set Jacksonville as a favorite.
Light rain, 57 degrees, sub 10 mile an hour winds.
Not bad.
I'd be more inclined on the under on that game too. What about you?
No, I would pass on it. I don't even think I have a take on any of the over-unders.
Yeah, I'm not betting it, I don't think. The next game, 46 degrees, 15 mile an hour winds, and rain. 49ers and Eagles.
Yeah. So, as usual with San Francisco, you got to wait on injury data. We're expecting Williams to come back, left tackle. We're expecting Pearsall to come back, important wide receiver.
Yeah, the Eagles get back some keys, and San Francisco supposedly. What do your numbers say on this game though?
My numbers say the line should be 3. Am I surprised it's over that? Not at all. I think San Francisco has a little bit of a matchup problem. I really hate the fact that this team allows 68.2% to opposing quarterbacks, which is far and away a horrible stat, and nobody has sniffed the Super Bowl with that kind of number.
Yeah, but what hurts his record when he throws for more than 200 yards?
I don't know, but yeah, I assume that you have that.
I don't, but did he win a game? How many?
When he throws for more than 200?
Yeah. It's a bad sign if he throws for more than 200.
Yeah, he lost 2 in a row in November throwing for more than 200. He lost 3 in a row.
Keep going.
No, he hasn't won a game since in November or December or January throwing for that amount of yards.
So it's really a good thing that he's playing San Francisco and can throw for a lot of yards.
Well, if I'm Philly, I'm definitely mixing it. I want Barkley to be involved. Barkley's a different runner the last few weeks. Both Barkley and McCaffrey are running better than they did the first 10, 11 weeks of the year. So you got Barkley involved. You got Goddard involved at tight end. And you got Hurts, who's going to have a clean pocket. And Hurts is an accurate passer. He doesn't throw interceptions. And he's going against a vanilla pass D. I think you have to have a lot of passing for this game.
What about San Francisco's offense?
They'll script the first few plays. Let's look at Philly. Philly's got the number 1 pass D, but Purdy is highly accurate. So you got strength versus strength. Purdy's hitting, I wrote it down somewhere. Purdy is 71% since returning from injury.
How does Philly fare against the mobile quarterbacks?
That I don't have as information. They haven't faced many lately because they've all been hurt. They beat Josh Allen 13-12. He's mobile, and Allen likes to run in tight game situations.
Yeah, but we didn't mention it, but he seems pretty banged up.
Josh Allen.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, the good news is he played one snap last week.
yeah.
Had a full practice, I heard today.
So even though your number's 3, you're going to stay off the game?
I'm pretty sure I'm going to stay off the game because I just can't play against defenses that look like San Francisco's.
Well, they held. What did they do against Seattle?
Yeah. You know what Seattle did in that game? They shut down Darnold. They said, Darnold, don't lose the game.
Well, they did pretty darn well.
Yeah. Well, maybe they can go back east and do something. They went to Cleveland in late November and put up 26.
Yeah, and there was no Pearsall and Williams on top of it.
Yeah. No, they've been scoring at will until the Seattle game. Yeah, it's a tough one for me. I really don't want Philly in this particular game, but
well, I got this guy Marcus on Twitter, and he's a diehard San Francisco guy. You can't even shut him up. He's so fucking annoying. But he's all San Francisco, and he says they have no hope. He said, pound the Eagles. San Francisco is dead as disco. They've got no hope. They do not have the personnel to win any category in that game.
Well, Purdy is streaky. We've seen him be really, really good. So their path to victory is their superstars have to come to play.
Barkley, I think, is going to have to be the difference. That MFer breaks those 60, 70-yard runs at the worst moments when I'm betting against him.
So he's 95 for 456, which is about 4.8 per carry the last 5 games. So he's averaged 19 carries the last 5 games. And prior to that, he was 3.7 and 62 yards per game.
Well, we were all wondering where he disappeared through the first half of the season. Looking back on it, were they resting him somehow? Was he injured? Why was he a non-issue for half the season?
Yeah, I really don't know. But after they had a late bye, so he got re-energized these last 4 weeks. Plus, the game at Cleveland was good as well. I don't know because he played a 4th place schedule. It was pretty interesting that in the run game, he just was a non-factor.
Well, it sounds like we could only look one direction. I'll fall for the banana in the tailpipe. I'll be on San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, it wouldn't shock me because we know Philly has not had the best year in the world. Just profile, the more San Francisco's in the playoffs, the more I have a chance to bet against them later on.
I mean, do you see a coaching advantage in this game, even though Philly's won a Super Bowl? San Fran hasn't?
I'd say, this is a weird answer. I'd say first quarter coaching advantage San Francisco, end game coaching advantage Philly.
Really? Why?
I don't trust Shanahan in end games.
What does he do in end game?
He either forgets to run or he passes too much in those situations, or his defense I'm 28-3 when he was a coordinator against Brady in Atlanta. Remember, they led the Rams by, was it 14 or 17 points the year the Rams won the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So clock management just disappears.
Chargers in New England.
Another tough one.
Do your numbers, are your numbers close to this number?
Yeah, they're right on it. New England does not have a Super Bowl profile. It may surprise people, but historically, if you look back over the last 40 to 46 seasons, a team like New England cannot win the Super Bowl. It would be a first.
Well, where do you see the coaching advantage here?
None. Dead even. Both good.
Do you see a quarterback advantage?
Nope. I mean, I know it's Drake May's first game, but Herbert hasn't won a playoff game, so because of that, I'm going to call it close to even. I mean, I think Herbert's a fantastic quarterback, and it's not his fault he hasn't won a playoff game. But until you get that first one.
I thought he had that one against Jacksonville.
No, they lost that game.
Well, they had a big lead. I turned off the TV. I thought
so as far as you know, they won that game. Yeah. As far as you know, they won that game 27-0 at one point.
I don't know. I think I agree with Cassie Brown. I think you got to give the coaching nod to Harbaugh slightly, and he's got an extra year with the personnel, which I think, you know, you're talking about a first-year situation versus a multiple-year situation with personnel, and Harbaugh's been working miracles with nothing all year long with this team. So,
yeah, I think if they had their left tackles, they would have all season. They would have won the division. They're better than Denver at full strength, but they're not at full strength, so that's a moot point. Interesting stats. If you believe, there's a lot of people who believe that running is more important in the playoffs, colder weather, so on and so forth. Interestingly enough, you would say, oh, well, New England's the better team running offense and defense. But that's not necessarily the case because the Chargers have played very strong against the run the last 7 games, and New England has played very weak against the run the last 5, 6, 7 games. So I think one of the most important pieces in this game will be running back Hampton of the Chargers.
Birdie brings up a point. When was the last time New England faced a really great defense?
Really great defense. Ooh, I don't know. They didn't play Houston this? I don't know. Miami doesn't qualify, huh?
Let's see here.
Well, not the second half of the year.
My gosh. Did they face it? How many top 10 defenses did they face this year?
I don't know where Pittsburgh is rated, but they faced them third week of the year and lost.
I want to just look at this.
They have some average defenses, like the Saints were probably an average defense. The Saints were underrated at times.
Oh, let's see.
But they didn't face anybody with a defense the second half of the year.
Buffalo week 5.
Yeah, but Buffalo's
Buffalo's
great pass defense.
I'm showing that that's the only top 10 defense they faced the entire year.
Yeah, that's why I don't think you want
Drake May does deserve MVP.
I don't think you want Herbert throwing 47 times in this game. even though
I
New
don't have
England's a
Pittsburgh
little
as a top
soft.
10 defense. I don't have them anywhere close to a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
Where do you
If they
have
can
them?
establish Hampton.
What?
Which team?
Pittsburgh.
Defensively?
Yeah, they're not. They don't even sniff the top 10.
No, they're not in the top 10.
Well, Birdie's, smoking something. He
Week
says
3,
Pittsburgh.
but week 3 they might have been.
All right. I think Birdie's sniffing glue again. Well, that's a little disappointing. I mean, I'm looking New England's way. I'm trying to play devil's advocate against myself.
I have a positive situation for both teams, which means I'm going to be on the sideline. But I think the Chargers would be more dangerous in the second round than New England would be.
That total seems it might be tough to exceed. What do you think?
I don't know. What's the temperature? Probably agree, though.
38 degrees, 9 miles an hour, light rain.
Yeah. You know what? I'd like to see the Chargers win this game and then go to Denver the next week. I'd probably be on the Chargers.
So then the Chargers would end up playing who?
If they're the lowest remaining seed, they would play Denver.
No, after they beat Denver.
Oh, after they beat Denver? Well, you'd have to, could be any team after that. Could be Houston, could be Jacksonville, Buffalo. They're on the road no matter what anyway.
Well, you can get plus 1,300 on the Chargers to win the AFC.
Problem is, I don't necessarily know if they could win this game.
If you like the Chargers, you probably should. I think if you like the Chargers to win this game, I think you should put some token money on them to win the AFC because I think that they can get by Denver.
Yeah. And because I'm not convinced this week, it's toss-up maybe. You're going to get revised odds next week, and you won't get 1,300, but they'll still be going to Denver.
Oh, where's my sheet? I left one of my sheets. Oh, there it is. Well, I just don't think Denver is going to win that AFC. You'd think we could find a team.
Yeah, well, it's not going to be New England according to my historical count.
I don't think it'll be New England either.
But then almost every other team other than Pittsburgh has some sort of qualifier that can make it.
Yeah. Who did the Jags play when they beat Buffalo?
When they beat Buffalo, they would play New England if New England won. And if New England lost, then they would play the Houston-Pittsburgh winner. And they would be home against them. Yeah, we probably shouldn't rule out Josh Allen and the Bills. They qualify. There are 5 AFC teams qualify.
I feel the only way Buffalo can make it through is by blowing out the other teams. I have a funny feeling that I don't know why. I could be wrong, but it just feels like they're gonna have an end game choke because the pressure's too much on them.
Yeah. Well, we could have one of those years like that Cincy Buffalo KC year where every game was decided in the last 30 seconds.
Houston and Pittsburgh. I don't know. We're wasting our time discussing this. 21-3 on Monday nights. Is that the record?
Yeah, I hesitate to use that in a playoff game, though.
I agree.
I'm the guy with all the Pittsburgh situations. Mike Tomlin's been there forever. I've had so many people tell me I just can't get a handle on Pittsburgh, and I tell them I love Pittsburgh, love their games. You know, something like 80% over the decade, 9 in a row this year, and I have no situations for this game. Really disturbs me.
So that's really a case in Houston's favor, then, isn't it?
Well, sometimes it's for or against. Like when Cleveland played Pittsburgh, I was pretty adamant that Cleveland was going to beat Pittsburgh. So situations can go for or against a team, but I have nothing on Pittsburgh for this game.
Well, we were early on the Houston. Let's look Houston's direction. Why does it seem like there's something wrong with them the last couple of games?
Good question.
Do you feel that way at all?
Well, I will say this. Drake May has been protected much, much better the last 6-7 weeks. We're talking about 25 sacks allowed the first 10 weeks or something like that, and then 6 after that.
Wow.
So, again, these are hidden things. People think, oh, Drake May's, or not Drake May, but CJ Stroud has been sacked a lot. Not really. He hasn't been sacked the last 4 games or the last 3 games. He's been sacked 1-0-0-0 the last 4 games.
Well, why do they it feels like they've been sputtering.
Well, they had a bad defensive showing. They allowed a lot of long gainers last week against Indy.
Oh.
Riley Leonard was not Philip Rivers. He was able to throw past the defense. And Houston does not have a great run attack.
I mean, they struggled against the Colts, the Chargers, the Raiders. They they weren't that impressive against Arizona, even though they did win by a lot.
I think the big matchup here will be Stroud going against the Pittsburgh pass rush and pass defense.
I mean, he's thrown for 339, 362, 270, 399. I mean, that's pretty good. Why are these games closer than they should be?
Yeah, sometimes they're settling for field goals. He has 8 touchdowns in the last 6 games. So that's not great, is it? So I think they're maybe stalling out a little in the red zone.
Yeah, they've been kicking a lot of field goals for sure. I mean, when you're throwing for 350, you should be having more than a touchdown and a half a game.
This has the feel of an under game too.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Because Aaron Rodgers hasn't been stretching the field, although he's going to try some deep shots with Metcalf back. And deep shots work.
When was the last time Rodgers saw the kind of pressure he's going to get this year or this game?
Well, Cleveland has a good pass rush. They got to him only twice, though. Miami actually has he's faced some guys who could rush the passer. So, but the thing of it is, this is a harder test for Pittsburgh because their run game, which has been much better, is going against a pretty tough run defense. Yards are going to be harder.
Do you put Pittsburgh in the popular dog category?
I think they'll be. I think it's kind of two-way. I don't know that they're popular.
Where did you put this line?
I put it at 3. My power numbers would have put it at 2.5 or 2, but I couldn't. I still had to set it at 3.
So you're not playing the game.
I'm unlikely to play the game. I just, if I had even one situation favoring Pittsburgh, I'd probably play them. But I think D'Amico Ryans and the Houston is usually so disciplined defensively. You got a chess match here. Rodgers is a super smart quarterback. His eyes, he's looking at everything and so on and so forth. But this is a really good defense he's facing.
Well, and they get Metcalf back.
Yeah, they've got to grind out some yards. They can't make this strictly all passing. Same thing with the Chargers.
I'm not sure you saw the play, but I couldn't believe what I was seeing when Aaron didn't run for one of those first downs last week. Shocking.
I remember the game where they could have gone to the NFC Championship game or whatever, maybe even the Super Bowl, and he had a clear 5 yards to get to the 2-yard line and a first down and maybe a touchdown, and he decided not to run. That was 5 or 6 years ago in Green Bay. And ever since then, he really hasn't wanted to run.
Yeah, he passed up an easy first down and threw it instead, and it went nowhere. So are you taking Pittsburgh at plus 3.5, or you're going to be sitting the game out?
I am probably going to sit the game out.
Okay. I guess I'll just continue.
I mean, odds can change things. I told you last week I'd have only a small play on Pittsburgh, and then the line went crazy, and it went to 4.5. If the line goes crazy, you never know. But I like Houston and their coaching and their defense better than I like Baltimore and their coaching and their defense. Boy, if the Rams and Eagles, like Russell says, play for the NFC champion, that's going to be a tough one because the Rams kind of match up against the Eagles. But
I don't know. I have I'm leaning. Who are you leaning coming out of the AFC?
that is so tough. I don't want to pick Denver. I don't think they're the right team. I would say I don't know. Houston? I don't know.
You know, I look at the AFC as Seattle is clearly the best team in the NFC, but it's not going to surprise me in the least to see them foul it up,
Right.
and just disappoint us somehow.
If Seattle plays the Rams, I would, just because of the nature of that rivalry and how crazy those two games are, that might be a little tougher for Seattle. And like you have mentioned before, Seattle's actually played better on the road than at home.
Yeah.
You know, I think at some point we're going to look back and say, why didn't we take all the dogs in this in this playoff series, because they're all the same?
I think if you took I don't think it's a bad. I mean, I see more dogs winning than favorites this week.
I think if you blindly said, "Oh, I want to have a little bit of action on each game," and just took the best price you can get on each dog, not only this week but throughout the playoffs, the worst you're going to do is lose a little bit of money. That's all, because in these 11, 12 games before the Super Bowl, I don't see how the favorites are going to cover more than what 7 and 5 would be the ceiling.
I don't know. For some reason, I feel like Jacksonville's coming in with the best form.
Well, they have risen the most. We both talked about that.
But it really seems legitimate, and it seems like they've got the coaching. They've got a team that's mostly been together and made the key additions that they needed. They've got just enough experience to not be bigger than the moment.
Yeah. I guess it's Jacksonville. I would want to find something wrong with them because their name is Jacksonville, but you really can't.
Well, we just had a big service release on the Chargers, plus 3.5. So that might come down to 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that those two teams are playing each other this week because the Chargers are a very interesting team.
Well, that's the type of game where that hook is pretty important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't want to be San Francisco getting more than 4 just seems like I'm missing something. I haven't supported San Francisco the entire year, and somehow I'm getting laughed at for wanting to looking San Francisco's way this week.
I've taken them 3 times in November and December.
What's that?
When you always spur like a thought for me. So you said you haven't backed them. So I said, well, have I backed them? And I took them on 11-9 and lost. I took them 11-24 and won, and I took them against Chicago, barely won. So 2-1. I've actually taken them 3 times. I wouldn't have even guessed that. I had no. That's why I have these week to week. I say, wait a second, I took San Francisco that many times.
Well, my official pick's going to be Jacksonville, Seattle.
All right.
What are you going to go with?
Well, preseason, the 2 teams I picked before the season are still alive, but not for long. I had Green Bay and Buffalo at the beginning of the year. So if I have to re-pick them now, I would agree with Seattle, but God, I'll just say Houston. I still might stay, I wouldn't put it past Buffalo, but I'll say Houston is the safer one.
I don't know how. It's oh well. All right, that's about all I got.
That's good enough. As usual, that first weekend of games is always intriguing. So you said to close, be careful with teases this week, huh?
Well, be aware that they were garbage last year. I just feel like there's a lot of value in the 10-pointers this year, but you'd think that the Green Bay game would be a 1-score game.
Yeah,
the Jacksonville game should be. The New England and the Chargers. I'm surprised that total's so high. I don't know why it's so high. in Houston, Pittsburgh, how the hell is that going to be a 2-score game?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh isn't going to win by 2 scores.
I would doubt it. Yeah.
So. All right. We're unsure about next week, right?
Unsure. This may be it. So you got some of our Super Bowl thoughts in case we're not on, or we might be on at a strange time. You never know. Stay up till midnight.
Ted's got his show tomorrow, which I'll try to participate in. So that's at 12 o'clock Thursday, tomorrow. He'll have, I know he had some interviews with some, out of the locker room from the last Chargers game. And I'm unsure what else. So are you going to pop on that show tomorrow?
I am not sure. I will be at the doctor's before that, but I asked him to send me a link. And it will be interesting to hear from the Chargers because I'd like to hear from them.
Yes. So, okay. Well, maybe we'll see you guys. Thanks for joining our chat. A nice, slow, and deliberate discussion of different angles of every game. There had to have been something to think about here and there. And that's the whole process goal. So see you tomorrow. Good luck on the games this week. And thanks for joining.